Hello. I'm going to do a review of this great EP that came out in the last couple of years. This is a vinyl reissue which just came out, I believe, last year. It features an extra song. It has 6 songs total. I'll read them off to you. They're backwards on the camera. Black Widow, Human Equilibrium, Angel, Flesh and Blood, Anti-Evolution, and Messiah. Messiah was only available on a Rox Records sampler before this. That was the only way you can get it on CD. And as far as I know, I think it's the only way you can still get it on CD. You have to go to Rox Records website, and I don't know if they still have copies of it, but if they do, great. If not, just buy this. You'll get the song there anyway. It's a rock. It's the last. It is the last release under the Rox Records Underground series. This is number 12, and that is where they stop with the Underground series. From what I understand, they're going to start up another series that will be similar, but probably not the same kind of packaging. Now, to give you an idea of the kind of packaging that we're dealing with here, I'm not a fan of this, never was, but it is what it is. It's what they call a J card. That is it. It folds up like this in the back. The record ultimately goes in like so. The record's on my record player right now. I'll pull that off in a second. But it's on the back side. It does have all the lyrics to all the songs. It even has Messiah on there. I was kind of curious if they had that. But here's my my issue with this one. Now, as much as I love this band and I love all these members here, there's one particular member missing in this picture. The leader of the band, Chaz Bond, is not pictured here. We have Sam, James, Dan, Luke, and Eli, but there is no Chaz in that picture. Not a huge deal, I guess, in terms, but, well, yeah, it is a huge deal. Chaz is the singer. He needs to be in that picture. I'm sorry. They could have figured out a way to put him in there. I don't know the deal behind the situation, why he's not on there, but it does irk me a little bit. However, that being that aside, let me get up here and oh my God. Okay. This is what the vinyl looks like. It's red. It's a red vinyl. It's got the Biogenesis Center label on side A. And this is another thing that, it's just me. It's not, I'm sure a lot of people don't care, but I'd rather see Biogenesis on the B side as well. Unfortunately, all the Rox records are like this. They all say Rox on the back side. At least this one has a spider on it, so it's still kind of cool in that aspect. I'll put this back up here. But yeah, those are the minor things. This thing is not gonna be a deal anymore. So I have 2 like this. Both happen to be signed. I'm gonna pull this up here a little bit. I have the signed copy up there. I got an extra copy that was signed with this, so I was able to keep a non-signed copy here with the actual record. The only other one that I have that's part of this Underground series is Saint Hellblade, which is exactly the same thing, only that one does have a picture of all the members on the back cover, which mine is signed by all but, ironically, the singer on that. Same with this one. Something about singers and me not getting them signed by him. I don't know. what the deal is, but just luck of the draw, I guess. Um, so we have I don't have Chaz did not sign that copy, and Josh Kramer did not sign my copy of the Saint Hellblade. Some people got Josh's when he performed with them out at the I think SoCal Metal Fest or something like that they did a couple years back here, and they took their records and got them signed by Josh at the show. So maybe someday I'll get to see Biogenesis and take that up and have Chaz sign it too. I don't know. We'll see. My chance of getting Josh to sign my Saint is slim to none now that he is no longer in the music business. That's another story altogether. But anyway, one thing I really... Now, the technical aspect aside of this, this album, the songs are what really matter to me here. Black Widow is just an amazing song. It has a very... To me, it has a very Savatage-ian feel to it. Chaz really kind of channels his inner Zach Stevens on some parts of that song. Of course, Chaz is Chaz. He sings the way he sings, and it comes across a little like a more of an angrier Zach, if that makes any sense to me anyway. And he's a very brooding kind of vocalist, which I like that kind. I do. My problem. I don't really have a problem. I'm not going to rewind that. I don't have a problem with Chaz. My personal issue with vocalists is doing harsh vocals. I'm a clean vocal guy, and so there are some harsher vocal moments that he does that don't appeal to me as much as the cleaner stuff he does. But Black Widow is a fairly clean song. It has a couple of guttural growls here and there, which that doesn't bother me at all. Then you got Human Equilibrium, which I guess was a remake of an older song, possibly. If I remember correctly, I think it came from an earlier Biogenesis album, and they remade it with this current version of the band. Well, this now past current version of the band. I'll get to that in a minute. But Human Equilibrium is basically a thrasher. That's what I call it anyway. Some people I don't know. I call it a thrasher. It's a good song. But it lacks something, and I'm not sure what that is. It's something that I'm just not feeling. I like the song, but it's missing something. I don't know what it is. Angel has everything that I love. It is a ballad, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it. I look at it as kind of a fortunately kind of thing. I say unfortunately for all you metalheads out there, because it is a ballad, and most people don't, for some reason, really like the ballads. I don't know. I love ballads, but Angel, I think, is a perfect song. It's a very beautifully written and recorded song. That may be an older song that they reworked as well. I can't remember the story behind that one, but all I know is that this version is just spot on perfect for me. It's one of the reasons why I'm reviewing this album is because of that song. That song Angel just touches me. It just touches my heart. I can't explain it, but I love it so much that I feel bad. And I'll come back to the sentiment later, why I feel bad about that. But we'll come back to that one. Flesh and Blood, that's a great song. I think it's a cover song. I think that's a cover song. I think that's a Deliverance cover song, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was a Deliverance. Yeah, Flesh and Blood, I believe, was a Deliverance cover song. I know they had a cover song on here. I'm thinking that's it. What I like about it is that they added Sam on keyboards on it, which really, to me, makes it less thrashy and more beautiful, for the lack of a better term to put it. I really like what they did with it. So it's I don't really, for some reason, I'm drawing a blank on the original Deliverance version. All I remember is that something about Jimmy Brown had heard the version that they did, and he absolutely loved it. He thought it was great what they did with it, and I have to agree with Jimmy. I think it's, it gave it something that it was missing, which is a great thing. I like when the bands are able to cover a song, but they're not changing it up drastically, but they are adding to it enough that makes it pop. Makes it more tug at you a little bit more or something. I don't know how to put it. Um, and Anti-Evolution, that's another one of the songs like Human Equilibrium. It's good. It's good for what it is, but it's not really something that I really care for that much. I don't know. It didn't click with me, just like Human Equilibrium didn't click with me. Um, so we're talking about two songs. Both songs are in the middle of each side. So it is what it is. I'll move on. Messiah. Messiah is a great song. It was a Christmas song, believe it or not. A Chaz Bond styled Christmas song, mind you. Um, so it had a little bit of more of a darker tone to it, but yeah, it still is about Christ and his, I believe, his crucifixion and the feelings behind it. I think I'd have to go back and look. It's a song in many parts. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts of that song. So it's a pretty long song actually. It's very it looks like 8 parts. There's a instrumental segment too that I miscounted, but yeah, it is a very good. It's a very good song. I'm glad that they finally put it with the release. In general, I kind of wish it came out on the CD version, but the CD version came out before the song did, so there you go. But if you haven't heard of Biogenesis, I would recommend you going to Rox Records and purchasing it. Also, I believe the Luke Neely, who was in this band, I believe he might have some copies left, possibly too. That's where I got my copy from. So if you want to look him up, it's Luke Neely with Nealeigh. Yes. Yeah, and maybe he'll hook you up with a copy if he still has anything left. He was, I know back in December he was selling off a bunch of the Biogenesis stuff because they got a new band. Basically, it's all these members that are pictured here. It's every single one of these members here. They are now called After Winter. That is the name of their band. Chaz moved on. He's got he's working with, I cannot stress how much I'm happy with this decision. He is working with the excellent, the most fabulous Christian bassist I've ever. The guy just gives me chills every time I hear him play. His name is Manny Morales. He played with Deliverance. He also played with Eraserhead with Jimmy Brown. He's just, to me, he is the quintessential Christian bassist. I mean, I've heard a lot of great bassists, but nobody that quite has Manny's tone. So I think he'd be perfect for the new version of Biogenesis when it does finally arrive. And also the new guitar player is another guy that I'm about to review here. It's not on vinyl, unfortunately, but it's a guy by the name of Tiago de Souza. He's very much a part of the Christian music scene, and he plays guitar and basically is the brainchild behind this project, Perpetual Paranoia. The vocalist from this band is Dale Thompson of Bride. Another great person. I've always loved his voice. He's I have to admit, some of the Bride stuff's been hit and miss, but Dale's always been pushing the boundaries and always pushing his voice to new limits. And I think he really found himself on these releases. The first one came out a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago. I can't remember. 2018, I think, at the end. This is called The Reapers. This was the first time that Dale and Tiago worked together. It's spotty, and this one is kind of spotty. I'm gonna admit, I as much as I like what they did, and I can't say I love every song on this one either, But I do have to say, when they were on point. This one, I mean, Dale really puts his faith on the line. I mean, not in a literal sense, but more puts it out there for you on the line so you can see it. There's no sugarcoating his faith. That is one thing. I mean, one of the songs is called "Say Jesus." I mean, say Jesus, You know, I mean, not many Christian bands have that name, Jesus, in a song title. It just doesn't happen. A lot of the Christian bands, they talk about their faith within, second context and stuff like that. Basically, Dale hits you over the head with the Bible, and that's in essence with these songs. He's always been kind of forthright, and that's what I love about Dale, is that he could there was a moment in time where everybody seems to really like him, which is the early years of Bride, where he did kind of skirt around the issue a little bit. He always put little passages at the bottoms of the song, so you could go do a biblical reference of said song. But it wasn't really. I don't think it was really until the Drop album, probably, where he started really just deciding, hey, I'm a man of God, and I'm going to sing about it. I'm going to put it right out down the line. I'm going to hit you over the head with my songs. If they catch you, they catch you. If they don't, then you got something to research, something to look up. And I think it really helped get him in a better spiritual place as a musician too. He did struggle, of course, with sounds in the 90s. He was trying to do the grunge thing, then he tried to do the rap metal thing, and he was trying to stay relevant, and I give him credit for that. But at the same time, I think that's where he lost some of the fans. Some of the fans that they roped in with the Snakes album or Kinetic Faith, or even the metal albums that they did in the early years, I think he started to lose them there. I know he did me. I'm not gonna lie. He lost me, at least from pretty much from the time Drop dropped. Drop was too mellow for me at the time. I was very much a metalhead. I still am, but I can respect the album a lot more now than I was able to back then. But then moving forward, all the way till, he finally wrote me back in, I think on the Skin for Skin album. That's where I realized, Dale still has it. He still has what I like about him, and it just kind of really kept going from there. I mean, Bride has a new album out too. They're working on yet another new one. They put out a new one about the same time this came out. It was called Snake Eyes, which I'll review at a later date. But this one, going back to this one, I'm sorry, I kind of go off tangents sometimes. Going back to this one here has Let the Dead Bury Their Dead, which I think was the most, I still think is probably the strongest song personally on this album. I mean, it's the one that if you have an earworm, that's going to be it for this one. It's going to stick with you, especially the end there. I mean, it's in my head. I'm not going to sing it for you, but it's playing in my head as I said, "Let the dead bury their dead." And if it doesn't stick with you, then I always believe if a song doesn't stick with you, it's not a good song. It's just not a song that you're going to go back to. You're always going to go back to the songs that stick in your head. I mean, melody-wise, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I mean, you're going to hear them like Psychedelic Super Jesus, or something of that nature. I mean, you listen, you've heard these songs before, and they just stick with you. Somehow they do, and when they stick with you, you remember them and you like them 20, 30 years later. They're still relevant to you. That's one of these songs, to me anyway. I'll never forget that song. That song is so catchy. It is so great. I love it. To me, it's the best of this particular album. Not saying that the rest are bad, just that's the best, if that makes any sense. There is nothing that I would say is innately terrible or horrible about this album at all. There's nothing is there anything I would change? No. The only thing I probably would have changed wouldn't have anything to do with the actual recording of the album, but would be the chemistry between Tiago and Dale on this particular release seemed a little rushed. I mean, I understand their point, but that leads us to this one, the newest album by Perpetual Paranoia. This one is 100 times better, in my opinion, than this one. Not that I don't hate this one. Don't get me wrong. I still love this album. That's not what I'm talking about. This one's just that much better. This one, and you know, I mean, the first song that really grabbed my ear on this one was Sin Machine. It's kind of like Let the Dead Bury the Dead, but for some reason, I'm still screaming Sin Machine in my head, and I haven't heard that song since probably the first time I put this on last week when I got it. So, or I think, yeah, it's been a week ago since I got this now, and that song is still in my head. You know, that's a good song. When it sticks with you, even though you're not listening to it, then you know you got a good song. And there's a lot of other good stuff. There's the band title track, Perpetual Paranoia, which features Les from Bloodgood. I honestly, I hear him on there, but it didn't sound like the Les that we've all come to know and love over the years. It's like a much more aggressive Les, like the kind of Les Carlson that you don't want to cross paths with. I don't know if that makes any sense. He's you know, I mean, it works for the song. You know, it reminded me when Robin Zander sang for Red Dragon Cartel. He did that one song, and it didn't sound anything like a Cheap Trick song at all. I mean, his voice didn't even sound like Robin Zander to me. It was called Feeding or something like that, or Feed Me. I can't remember the name of the song, but I remember listening to it, and I'm like, that's Robin Zander? You know, that's what I think about on this one. That's Les Carlson? I hear it, but I don't hear it. It's like a whole different Les Carlson than what you're used to. The very first track features Chaz Bond, back to Biogenesis, Chaz Bond from Biogenesis, on a song called Trampled Under Feet. And he blends very well with Dale as well, or vice versa. To me, it took a couple listenings to really hear the separation between the two, because I think Dale tried to emulate Chaz, or Chaz tried to emulate Dale. I don't know, it just sounded like the same singer through the whole song to me at the first time I listened to it. It took, like I said, a couple times to really, oh yeah, okay, that's Dale, that's Chaz. You know, maybe it's just me, but that's what it took. The title track, Between the Altar and the Cross, the second track, it's good. I like it. It's a great title. I don't know. It's a great track. I mean, this whole album is just fantastic. There's nothing I'm going to say bad about this. I'm not going to do that. But I am going to say that Troy Thompson playing the solo on In Vain on this album. Where's that Troy been in Bride? I need that Troy in Bride. That's the Troy we all need in Bride. You hear me, Dale? That's the Troy Thompson we need in Bride. Anyway, I don't know if he's even going to watch this, but I hope so. I mean, that's that'd be a great honor. But anyway, yeah, There Will Be Blood, another great catchy song. I don't know, I just love that one too. The biggest surprise for me was the very last track. It's called A Cappella. It's just Dale singing about being in the bosom of Abraham or something like that. Laying his head on the bosom of Abraham. I'm not really understanding. I tried to do a biblical reference to figure out what he was talking about, and I started reading about Abraham a little bit, and I guess I just don't really understand what he means by laying your head in the bosom of Abraham, but it's still a great song. I mean, it's about a minute and a half or 2 minutes. I don't know. It's not very long. And it's at the very end of the album. So if you don't like that kind of a song, it is easily able to just stop the CD after the Rima, which is another great song. I mean, all these are great songs. I like them all. I honestly can't say that there's, the only song I can say that I like better than the rest is Sin Machine, because it's still in my head. You know what I'm saying? That's about it for this one. I'm a big fan of Perpetual Paranoia. They got 2 CDs out, The Reapers and Between the Altar and the Cross. Both are available from Retroactive Records, or BoonsOverstock.com, I believe is where you can buy the CDs at. They're basically the same same thing. Matt Boone runs Boone's Overstock as the selling point for his 3 or 4 different labels he has. But you can go to the individual website, retroactiverecords.com, and order it through there, and then we'll check it out, whatever. But yeah, I would recommend both of these if you're a Dale Thompson fan, or even if you're a new fan of Tiago de Souza, who plays on both of these. I think it's some of the most diverse work I've heard from him too. So I think they work really well together. And this album, I would start with this album because you'll respect the. I think you'll respect the band a little bit better if you buy them backwards. If you bought this one first and then went back and got this one, because this one really sets they're working together. To me, it does. It's like the perfect. It's like, okay, this is the dating situation, and this is the marriage. Go with the marriage first, then look back on the fondness of the dating. That's kind of how I look at this one, because this one is a little bit more all over the place musically and stylistically, which was trying to find their groove, if you will. And this one, they clearly found their groove. So I would start with this one and go backwards. That's just me if I'm recommending these to you. Anyway, I think that's it for this particular video. I'm going to do probably a couple more on some other releases that have come out over the last few years. I don't have too many of the new releases. This is probably the newest one that I own currently for Christian music. I have Deny the Fallen, and the new Deny the Fallen is on my to buy list this week, so I will be purchasing that. That might come next week. I'm not sure about Godman yet, as much as I like Tiago and his work. Jonathan's voice is a little bit off-putting to me. A lot of people like it. That's great. More power to you. I don't know why, but I know he sang a little bit on the first Deny the Fallen album as well. And it was really it was a really odd thing for me to hear him sing and Ray sing. I love Ray Parrott to death. I mean, the guy is an amazing singer. He shows off a different style completely in Deny the Fallen than he did in Sacred Warrior, which was a little off-putting as well when I first heard it. But after I listened to it more, I realized, well, maybe this is better. It's kind of like what I'm always thinking of Don Dokken should do. He should just not try to do a Dokken album. He should go back and do that acoustic stuff that he did, with the Solitary album. It really works for his voice a lot better, When you get older, your voice doesn't always stay the same. Now, some people like Dale Thompson, for some reason, that guy has a gift from God. He can still nail those high notes like you wouldn't believe. It's maybe not as smooth of a delivery as he once had, but it's still there, very much still there, and very, very, very powerful and in your face kind of, singing, which is something Dale, especially with this new, I shouldn't say new, but with his, his, wanting to give you that Christian outlook that he so desires to give you. That is very much forefront and very much the best kind of voice that he has for this stuff. He still hits those really, really insane high notes. For a guy, no offense, but for a guy that's been around for 30 some odd years doing this, and he's still able to do it, kudos. You've done something right. Not everybody who sang like that back in the 80s can still do that today. So, and Dale is one of those that can still hit those notes. Like I said, they may not be as smooth as they once were, but they don't have to be. They're more abrasive, but they're still there. He still hits them. I don't know if you can. I know he was joking online a while back about the Heroes song, but he wouldn't be able to hit those those notes again. I think he would, but he'd have to retailor the song to be more aggressive and less of an operatic kind of thing, but just more of an in-your-face, like, heroes. I'm not going to sing, but you know what I'm saying. Just sort of like, boom, to this, and more of a, ah. So I think he'll do very well. if he ever chooses to try to redo some of those old Bride songs, I don't think you'll ever have a problem hearing him hit those notes. Um, I wish I could hit those notes. Well, yeah, I wish I could hit those notes. I have a lot of. I've had a lot of singing training before. Um, I can hit some higher notes, but I'm not. I'm not all powerful. That's where I lack. That's where my subconscious am I lacking of ever pursuing the idea of being a singer is I can hit notes, but they're really quiet for some reason. I don't know how to project them, especially when you start getting up in the head voice. You just, you know, um, I mean, I, I don't think anything I do here on this video is going to be anything remotely close to good. Because it's actually been a while since I really sang too. So, I mean, it's been about, I want to say 2004, 2005 since the last time I did any kind of real singing other than in the bedroom or in the car or anything like that. Maybe I've lost it. I would like to try to get it back. I have an album that I've been working on personally since like 1991, 92. And I'm no closer to getting it recorded than I was when I started it. So, that gives you an idea. But the songs are there. I'm happy with the songs that I'm gonna do. But anyway, I don't really want to waste your time on my stuff because it's not available for your consumption as of yet. Maybe someday. I might just do one of these things where I'll be the orchestrator of it, and I'll put all these guest musicians together and they can record it professionally. I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But anyway, onward and upwards. God bless. And I'll see you on the next time.